If you're coming from the Farthest Frontier or you're just a new Anno player, there's a lot to learn in Anno 117. And the good news is, if you have played the other game I just mentioned, there's actually a lot of things you can immediately apply in this game, and you can just play and realize, oh, wow, this works exactly like in the Farthest Frontier. Unfortunately, there's also enough difference here that you can make a lot of mistakes, and then some of those mistakes will actually break your neck later in the game. And that's what this video is about, to give you useful tips of not doing those mistakes, and so they will not come back later to bite you in the ass. And of course, for new players who have never really played a city managing game or an Anno game, this is a lot of useful information for you as well. So thank you so much for coming in. Let's jump right into it. And let's begin with the first and most important part in this game, and that is roads. Yeah, I know that sounds a little bit weird, but believe it or not, managing the roads in your empire is an art form. And in Anno in particular has always been. One of the big differences is that every building in a game needs to be connected to a road, not like in Farthest Frontier, where roads are basically just there to speed up the movement of the people. And if they have a connection to a building or not doesn't really matter, they will just go there anyways. In this game, though, you need roads to every building, and in the end, they all have to connect to your villa, or it doesn't count. So keep that in mind. Now, with that said, there's also another big thing you have to keep in mind, and that is the coverage area. You will see some buildings like here, the bakery, which just has a buff area, which is a circle, right? Everything in that circle will get the buff. Easy. Now, there's also the coverage area, which a lot more buildings have, like this tavern, and you can see that the coverage area is shown on the street. So there isn't a circle, it goes with the street. And the green area is where you cover everything, and the one which you can see here at the top, which is still grayed out, means unfortunately that area is not covered. And that kind of sucks, right? When you just look at the size of the coverage, you realize, wait a minute, I built a tavern here, and just up there the coverage ends? That's kind of dumb. And this is where road management is actually coming in. So I can just now build this tavern here, build a road here, and you will immediately notice this whole area is now covered as well, without me having to build a second tavern, right? And now it's complaining that it's not connected to the villa, but that's fine. And that's something you really have to keep in mind when you do road management. Now, speaking about managing your roads and doing a little bit of logistics, let's also talk about the second, or maybe even the first building you will build, and that is, of course, your warehouse. So this is also a big difference to the Farthest Frontier, that warehouses, there's only one particular warehouse, right? There's not like multiple different warehouses for different items like in the Farthest Frontier. So you're just putting down the warehouse and you are storing literally everything in there, because nothing goes bad, right? But much, much more important is to know that all warehouses are interconnected throughout the island. So no matter where you unload a certain item, you will have it available in every single warehouse on this island, right? So that's a huge boon, which helps you to better manage your logistics in Anno 117. With that said, though, there's a downside to all of this, and you might have already noticed it. Yes, all the warehouses are interconnected. Problem is, they have also all the same storage capacity. So you can see right here with salt, I have reached the maximum of my storage capacity, and no matter which warehouse I go to, it's full. So that means there isn't any salt production going on, and this is just sitting around here and nobody is doing anything with it. Now, of course, the good news is you can improve that. There are extra buildings like the depot, which is increasing the max capacity of all warehouses. And then there are also certain research you can actually gain right here, right, to increase the capacity of your warehouses, and then later on you can research even more to get even more capacity or build more depots to increase the capacity of your warehouses. But you have to do something to increase that capacity and not just building more and more warehouses. That is not helping in this game. Now, the next very important thing and you would do in the game is you will build houses, right? You need people, and so you build houses. Now, after some time, those houses have all needs, like in the Farthest Frontier, and you have to fill them up. When they are filled up, you are getting the ability to upgrade your house to the next tier, from the Libertus to the Plebeians, right? And so on and so forth. And then, of course, they need more resources, and they still need the base resources they needed before. So also keep that in mind. Again, very much the Farthest Frontier if you have played this before. There is but a very big difference here. You're not just upgrading the houses like in the Farthest Frontier, you are also upgrading the people in it. Because, as I said, you're basically moving them from Libertus to Plebeians, and then later on, you upgrade them, this is tier 3, to Equus, right? And that is important because you can see that up here, that also changes their workforce. So you need plebeians to run those tier 2 buildings. Now, that's kind of like a duh moment for a lot of people, like, yeah, well, duh. If not, then this would be pretty useless to do, right? What is important to note, though, is that when you transform them into the next tier, they will not work at the old buildings anymore. So let's say you still need a lot of people for the fishing hut, for the porridge fabrication, and so on and so forth. You still need liberty. So transforming every single house in the game, even if you could, is not a good thing, because then you are running out of the Libertus workforce or even the plebeian workforce, right, if you are upgrading further. So please don't just upgrading a house whenever you can, because you might need the workforce. Now, if you have already done that and you think, oh shoot, did I just brick myself? No. You can still thankfully undo this, right? You just have to click on the house, and there you can actually downgrade the residents, and then they are going back to their old self, and then you can upgrade them again. It's pretty simple to do, but it is something to keep in mind anyways. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is your island, because when you are upgrading to tier 2, you might also realize that you need amphora and olive oil. Problem is, if you are now looking at my island in particular, when let's say I want to build some of my olive gardens, I can't. There is no fertility here on this island, and I cannot build that here. Well, that means you now have to go out there and find islands who exactly have that. You can actually see what your island offers whenever you're going over the island. This will change, and you can see right here I have a different island which I haven't really used yet, and I have this particular island which has the resin I need and the olive gardens, and I have done exactly that. How do you do that? Well, it's pretty simple. You have your ship, right, your main ship at the beginning, and then you fill that with some planks, and then you are sending your ship out with planks, right? The planks you have, you go to an island, and you have to find an area where you can land, a beachhead, right? And then you will get the option, hey, this is a beachhead. Do you want to build an actually trading post and ignore the attack on my ship? So when you have done that, this is your island. Nobody else can build on this. Right? The only way to get an island where somebody is on there already is to conquer them. But that's it. They cannot take this island for you. So I highly recommend to send out your main ship to do some scouting at the beginning, to find some islands you want to take. And if you have the money and the resources, do so. Because then it's yours. You don't have to utilize it. Even if you just have the dog right here, that's enough. You can wait till you actually need this island to produce the resources you want. And those are definitely one of the most important things at the beginning. So whenever you are missing out on some items, just look for some for items. Just look for some islands where you can produce them, right? And then later on, you can also go to Albion. You can also do trading, of course, but that is something we have to dive in a little bit more deeper in some other videos. If you still have some questions or some notes you want to give new players, you can do so down below in the comments. I would appreciate that. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like if you're also new to the channel and you love city management, building, and just strategy games in general. You came to the right place and you might want to subscribe. And of course, if you want to see more Anno videos. So with that said, have a good one, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.